Well, speaking of that, I think that's a good segue into, this time of year, a lot of people set resolutions. I'm not a big fan of resolutions. I have more of a process, or if I want to incorporate something into my life, I kind of think about it. I study it a little bit, then I experiment, and if I like it, I keep it. That's sort of my go-to way. But it's that time of year where people are diving into fitness routines, and health, and I guess, how do you think of, what kind of things would you coach people on, or if they asked you advice when it's like the first of the year, how to kind of get into it and how to think of it from like a fitness and health standpoint?
Yeah, I'm with you on not being much of a resolution person.
Mhm.
I don't necessarily always feel like the beginning of the calendar year is the beginning of my personal year.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't always really identify with that like
Hmm.
clean slate, hard line, anything like that. Also, life always changes so fast, and that's one thing we all I think
Hmm.
can agree on after after our experiences so far. So like setting a hard and fast resolution doesn't feel like a good like practice for me either. I'm
Hmm.
very goal oriented and I like achieving stuff, but that's not like the healthiest way for me to look at my own growth.
I've
I
always said
do,
if you're
yeah,
really resolved, you don't need a resolution,
yeah. Ooh,
because you're
I
just gonna
love
do
that.
it.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. I like to look at it as like making and keeping promises to myself.
Mhm.
And that can be very large goals or bigger, more out there goals, but also just like really small things. Um, and that to me is where I guess if somebody asked me for advice on like health and fitness in a new year, that's where I would start is the little things. Um,
Mhm.
like, are you moving every day?
Yeah.
Even if it's for 5 minutes, are you moving your body? I don't care if it's 10 squats or you go for, a 10-mile run. It doesn't matter. But like, are you
Hmm.
moving a little? Um, are you sleeping? So
Yeah.
that's a huge part of like, you're not going to feel like moving if you're tired. Uh, and like, are you drinking water? Are you eating real
Hmm.
food? Enough of it is a big one. Hey, there you go. Yeah, I got my water over here
It
too.
is water. It's a kombucha bottle, but it is water, actually.
I get it. I know the recycling. I'm a big fan of recycling too.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I would just look at like those holistic pillars of health,
Hmm.
which are like moving and water and sleep and food. And also, sometimes it gets glazed over a little bit, but like mindfulness or
Yeah.
presence, I would say not even in necessarily the typical sense of like meditation or anything really formal like that, but just like check in with yourself. Like, are you
Hmm.
here today? you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah,
Um,
Matthew McConaughey had an interesting. I've been listening to a couple podcasts that he's been on, and he talks about his morning routine. Like when he wakes up, he has this sort of checklist he goes through where he just sort of checks in with himself and thinks about like thinks spends a little time thinking about the day before, and then spends a little time thinking about the day ahead and like what he wants to accomplish, and kind of thinking about the emotional part of it too, which I thought was really interesting. And of course, it's in his southern drawl like voice that is so mesmerizing, but.
sure.
I thought that was really interesting. I wonder what you think about that.
Yeah, I like that. I have turned into a real big planner person. I like a paper planner. It's color coded and everything. I'm very
Oh
much like
man,
a list person,
you got
and
the Trapper Keeper for it and everything.
we're getting close. It's getting awfully stuffed with like notes and all that kind of stuff as the years go on. But yeah, I really like to sit down at least once a week. It's funny because I guess I feel like I'm a pretty like organized person, but at the same time I don't like a very strict routine.
Yeah.
I kind of just meet things week to week, day to day. My work and my lifestyle kind of fits that sort of outlook a lot
Hmm.
better. But I do like to sit down at least once a week and kind of update that planner in a sense and be like, okay, well, priority things are this, and you know, social things are this, and
Hmm.
less important things are this that I also want to do. But like looking at this, how am I going to structure my days so I have time for like the things that are good for me too? One of the focuses of like how I'm approaching this year in particular um,
Yeah.
is adding a lot more like play, I guess. Um,
Hmm.
I like many people worked just constantly through last year. and did not set good boundaries for myself as far as what's a sustainable like work schedule and output and expectation for myself. And that's happened in other seasons of my life too. I guess I tend towards that, but
Hmm.
I really want to change that tide. And
Yeah.
for me mentally, like taking that space and giving myself room to just play and experiment and create and like do those things that feed me. That's like a big priority on my list this year. So when I'm looking at my week, I'm trying to decide, okay, what blocks of time or what days am I going to really make that a priority in my life?